I'm in Portland, Oregon, and I am driving the 2025 Buick Enclave, and this is a completely new vehicle. There is nothing that is carried over from the previous model year. So what I'm gonna do in this video is I'm gonna walk you through some of the bigger changes. We're gonna talk about the good things and the bad things, and I'm going to touch on subscription fees in addition to giving my driving impressions. So let's take a closer look at the 2025 Buick Enclave right now. Let's just jump right in with the walk around. Now, you may have remembered a Buick Wildcat concept car at auto shows several years ago, and all of the design language in Buick vehicles that are currently in existence kind of sprang from that. So you have this kind of trapezoidal shaped grille. You've got this daytime running light, the squinty daytime running lights. You know, your headlights are here, and Buick changed its badge, its emblem, and they've mounted it on the hood. So all of that is new and different. And because this is an Avenir trim, it has a different grille than the ST, which has a different grille than the base preferred trim. So you have a little bit more of a chromy up-level elegant look to it, and you have this chrome surround, and it's meant to be a little bit more upscale and elegant. And when you come around to the side, because this is an Avenir trim, you do have the Avenir badging, and again, some more chromy accents around the door handles and on the wheels. And you can even see the chromy accents on the roof rails. So everything is new on this vehicle. They say from bumper to bumper and everything in between, everything is new. So the headlights, the grille, this taillight with the long light bar that goes across the back, that is also new. Moving into the interior, you'll also see some really big changes. And the biggest one is going to be this 30-inch screen that starts the gauge cluster and then moves continuously all the way through to the infotainment screen. So that is a new feature, and just the interior has been generally redesigned, from the patterning to the stitching to the different treatments. Now, you will have a light interior option as well as this dark interior option, and I'm going to tell you, the light interior option is white. But the really cool thing about that is it will have like a blue steering wheel, and it looks really good. Something else that is new for this model is going to be this floating console. So they've moved the gear shift to the column. This is a trend that we are seeing in cars these days. So they moved the shifter to the column, which opens up all of this space here for a purse, a bag, takeaway. My personal favorite thing to put in some place like this is my eggs when I go grocery shopping, because I don't want to leave them in my trunk. So let's step behind the wheel a second. I'm going to pop this out. And okay, I don't know if you noticed that change, but when we were outside, the 2.5 liter turbocharged engine sounds a little bit buzzy. It delivers 328 horsepower and 326 pound-feet of torque. But outside, it sounds a little bit buzzy. You can definitely hear it. But inside the cabin, yeah, this is really, really quiet. Buick has this huge focus on what they call quiet tuning. And that essentially means you have a Bose sound system that has noise canceling in it. So this is an Avenir model. It has 16 speakers. The base and trim and the ST trim have 12 speakers, and they have active noise canceling, so it makes this very quiet. It's like you open up the window and you're like, wow, that engine is really loud, but then you close the window and you're like, I hear nothing. All right, what else do we want to talk about here? We do have wireless charging. I'm pretty early in my test drive as I'm doing this walk around, so stay tuned. Stay tuned. I'm sure I will have comments about that. We'll just take another quick look from the second row at what's going on in terms of design in the front. So on the Avenir trim, you do have some nice materials and trimming pieces there. Again, you have a 16 speaker Bose audio system, wireless charging, volume knob. Yeah, so that's the walk around. Now it's time to get into some of the good things and the bad things. Now, one of the big things that I really like about the Buick Enclave is its Super Cruise functionality. So I have to be honest, I'm not looking at the camera right now, so hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. But in order to get it to function, you hit this button right here on the steering wheel, and then it'll tell you if it is available or not. And then you see this light here on top of the steering wheel turn green. And you know what? I'm just gonna kind of go like this a little bit so you can see Super Cruise is active right now. I am hands-free. We are on a 2-lane road and it is curving. It is curving. It is curving and it is handling all of the steering like without me touching the steering wheel. And I think this is flipping awesome. Any review that I do that talks about hands-free driving, I always say Super Cruise is literally the best system out there. And that, I mean, the Buick Enclave iteration does not change my mind about this. And what's really cool about this is you can get Super Cruise in any trim. So it's not just available on the upper Avenir trim, you can get it on the base trim. And so, you know, the other thing that I want to point out that's really cool about this, and we have a mail truck that was right there, and I'm just going to take control of that as he turned into a driveway. Okay, so the other thing that is really cool about this is as you are rounding the corners, the vehicle slows down to what it thinks is an acceptable speed to be able to manage that corner. So I haven't confirmed this, but I have to think that it is looking at the navigation in addition to using the cameras on the road to know how steep the angle is to be able to slow the vehicle down enough to be able to handle all of that that's going on. So I think Super Cruise on the Buick Enclave is super cool. Now the next few things that I really like on the 2025 Buick Enclave are essentially, yeah, you can see everything. You can see everything right here. So I really like this screen. I think that it's really well done. I like the fact that there isn't a separation here. So there are some of these really large screens that actually the continuous thing is just the glass and the screen itself doesn't continue. So this, as you can see, doesn't have a break and just flows continuously from the gauge cluster into the map. So I really like how the screen is done. I feel like it's really high def and that it's really well defined. And I like the fact that you have the option to do this. So you can put the map in your cluster right here, which then opens you up to be able to put your music, you know, in that area there. So, you know, you can still see where you're going, and then you can adjust your audio controls over here. Like, who in the heck was listening to music or whatever over here? Those are not my choices. I'm a Hits One girl. So, yeah, so I do like how this is set up. I like the fact that I can put the map there, and then, you know, I can drive and I'm looking forward, and I don't need to worry about, oh, where am I going? Yeah, it's literally right there. And then you still have the important things that you need in your gauge cluster right there. So your speed, yeah, you just need to know your speed and how many miles of range you still have and when you need to go get gas. So I like this. I also really appreciate the materials and the design here. I think they've done a really good job giving you some climate controls that have hard buttons. And then the textures on every trim are really nice and well done. So, you know, I don't even know if you can see this, but there's a really interesting, like just a patterned texture here. And then you have a pattern here, but it's not textured. And so I like the accent pieces, and I think that they've done a really good job of making each trim looks, you know, interesting and different, but still upscale at the same time. This right here is the ST trim, but even if you go down to the premium, it's still going to look good. And if you go up to the Avenir, it's still looking good. So I really like that. Now, the final thing that I really like is this right here. And the fact that you have this floating console, which opens up space for you to put things. I don't know. I like storage spaces, and I like storage spaces that aren't accessible from the window. Call me crazy, but smash and grabs happen, and whether it's a purse or the eggs that I just bought in the grocery store, I'd much rather put them here than on the passenger seat. So I like that. I like all of that. Now, the final thing that I want to talk about that I like on the 2025 Enclave is the power pack. And this is like a $1,700 option on the ST and the base trim, but it is standard on the Avenir. And it includes this head-up display right here. And, you know, I don't know if you can see that really well, but it does show your speed as well as the time, and it shows your directionals. So we have a directional into this Google map right here, and it shows up in the head-up display, and that is a part of the power pack. Now, another thing that is going to be a part of the power pack, and we have to exit the vehicle to show this off. Now, another part of the power pack is going to be this button right here, and you push it and the seat will move forward, and it opens up this really great space for you to get into the third row. So, I mean, this does only offer captain's chairs. So, I mean, kids could climb through the center, but if you have an adult or somebody who's a little bit bigger that you need to put in the third row, you can have them climb in this way, and this little button just makes it easier. And then I'm going to point out that putting the seat back in place manually is pretty easy. You just pop it right back into place. Now, the third thing that is a part of the power pack that I really like is going to be in the cargo area, and that is the operation for your third and second row seats. So this right here is a part of the power pack. So standard on the Avenir, available on ST and Preferred. So to get the second row or the third rows to go down, you do have to press and hold until they are in the completely down position before you can take your fingers off of the buttons. But these right here are just a press it and they drop down. So that's a button for a manual release, so they do not power back up, but these third rows do power up. However, as we showed earlier with the second row, it's pretty easy to put those second row seats back up in place. It's not a difficult operation. So I like the buttons here to be able to deal with your second and third rows if you're trying to load something into the back. Okay, so I want to use the third row space as kind of my transition between my likes and my dislikes, because there's some good stuff going on back here, but there's some stuff that is just okay. So let's check it out. So the first thing I should point out is that this vehicle has the power pack, which includes the push button, move forward seats, the power folding third row seats, and the head-up display. So I like that. That means that there's a button right here on the seat, and it just moves forward. And there is a lot of space right here to climb into this third row seat. So I definitely like that. And the seats are pretty easy to move back into place. And I will point out this seat right here is not scooted all the way back, but I probably have about 4 inches between my knees and the back of this seat. And I think that this person still has plenty of space for their own legroom, between them and the front passenger seat. So this is actually pretty nice space in terms of your knee and your foot room. So, okay, my feet are small, but the track between, you know, the little tracks that the seat slides on, they're a little bit further apart, and I can fit both of my feet in between the tracks with space between them, which means that somebody with larger feet is also going to be able to fit their feet in here, and they're not going to have a problem. And a lot of third rows, I kind of go like this, and I'm just like, okay, I just don't know where to put my feet. And I have small feet, we've said that. So the leg room is good. My drive partner, who is probably about 5'11", sat back here, and he said, you know, with the seat and a little bit scooted forward, he said he could sit back here, not forever, but he could sit back here for a period of time and it would be fine. So the seats are a little bit firm, so they're not super comfortable, but I do like how they kind of tip up a little bit, which means that you don't have a big gap between the bottom of your thigh and the seat itself. So that gives a little bit of extra support and comfort there. That is about the extent of the good stuff. So knee room, foot room, tip up. The seats themselves are just a little bit hard and uncomfortable. I have plenty of space. I don't know that I would want to spend a lot of time back here. This window right here is really small, so you feel a little bit closed in back here. And you do have some cup holders and you have USB ports on both sides. Here is the thing that I really don't like. Okay, so, I mean, I'm not a big person. I always say I'm about the average size of an average 10-year-old, and I'm gonna be the person that you're gonna wanna put in this third row seat, or my size of person. They put 3 seats back here. And this seat right here is actually comfortable than these seats here. So, I mean, in terms of like shoulder and hip room, you're literally gonna be sitting hip to hip, shoulder to shoulder with, if you put 3 people back here. So in a pinch, I think you could make that happen, but it is a less than ideal situation. And if you're planning to put 3 people back here on a regular basis, they better be smaller children. Smaller children. But, you know, I mean, the benefit is the person here is going to have oodles more leg room and foot room. So I like the leg room. I like the foot room. I don't like that you put 3 seats back here. And some of these materials are kind of hard and plastic, and the seats themselves are just not comfortable. So there's some good things back here. There's some bad things back here. So now we're going to move on to the rest of my do not like list. And I'm going to tell you up front, this is a soft dislike, because I don't hate this. I'm just curious about the design decision. So this grille is new, and we're starting to see this shape of grille on a lot of Buick vehicles. But here's the thing. If you step back, or if you like cover the badge, what does that make you think of? It makes me think of a Toyota. So I'm just finding this a little bit interesting that I see this vehicle, and from a distance, I think Toyota, not Buick. So I think they could have done something a little bit different here that would have set it apart a little bit better. So beauty is in the eye of the beholder. This isn't a hard, I hate it. It's just, Next up, I just feel like Buick has made some questionable choices in terms of money-saving things. And one of those things is the fact that you only have an auto-down window for the driver's side window. So from the driver, like, this is supposed to be like a near luxury vehicle. At least the front passenger should get an automatic down, but I would also like to see auto down for the rear passengers as well, at least from the driver's seat. So I think that this was a questionable choice on Buick's part to only give you auto down for the driver's side window. And yeah, it has auto up as well, but again, it is just for the driver's side window, and I feel like that was a questionable choice. Another questionable choice is going to be this right here, and that is this very shiny, fingerprinty, dusty, scratchy black lacquer. And I don't mind it when automakers use it here, or they use it in very limited places, but to put it here where you're going to be putting beverages, you know, you're going to be dropping your phone in here, Like this has the potential to fingerprint and get dirty and scratch. Really, like to get like if you're gonna set your key in here, like this can scratch. So I don't know. I mean, they did limit their use of black lacquer, so I will give them credit for that. You do have a little bit here on the around the venting, and you have it here, you know, surrounding the HVAC controls. But they didn't go gaga or crazy over it. But this is the part that I find questionable. Like I wouldn't put black lacquer here, and I mean, you could just very easily use this material that's on the dash and put it where the black lacquer is, and I think it would be attractive, and it would show less dirt, and it wouldn't scratch like this black lacquer is going to scratch. So, I thought that was a questionable choice. And yeah, while we're in this space, let's have a word about wireless charging. I'm usually very impressed with General Motors wireless charging, so I'm hoping that this is chalked up to the fact that we're driving pre-production vehicles. But, like, I don't know, like this bubbles up funny. And so it moved my phone around a little bit, which I had to, like, kind of move it to get it to charge correctly. And then it did heat up my phone. So it didn't overheat my phone. It didn't stop charging my phone. But it didn't... we weren't in the car continuously for like 3 hours, so I wasn't able to leave my phone on here for 3 hours to see how it actually did. But I would certainly be concerned with this overheating my phone and stopping charging altogether. And as it was, it did not charge my phone fast. I mean, okay, it's wireless charging. You know, there are cords and USB ports for that. But, yeah, this just didn't work very well for me. Now, the last thing that I don't like on this vehicle is going to be in this area right here. And it is not actually Google Maps. I think this looks great. I think it's well executed. Google built-in is really well done. You know, I like the menu options. This is really swipeable. It looks good. I like the icons. I like the customizability of this left menu over here. If you want to customize it, you can take the features that you use the most often, and you know, you've got like it's this one, and this one. You can replace any of these 4 icons here with the things that you use the most, and so you can customize it with any of these options in this side menu, and I really like that. But here's the thing. What in the Apple CarPlay is this? This probably has to be one of the worst executions of Apple CarPlay that I think I have ever seen. This looks awful. I mean, it doesn't fill out the screen. You have this screen line that goes around, and when people say that Apple CarPlay is poorly done in vehicles, it's this vehicle that it's poorly done in. It's not poorly done in all vehicles, but it's badly done in this one. And I don't know if there's some licensing fees that are issues with Apple versus General Motors. I don't know if General Motors just gave up. I don't know if they're trying to force you to use their Google built-in system, so they want you to stay out of Apple CarPlay, so they're going to make it look ugly on purpose. I have no idea what's going on here. I don't know what's going on here, but they did a bad job. Now, one of the things that you can do to make it look better is you can go into settings, you can go to your wallpaper, and you can turn all of this black. But it's interesting, even when it's black, you still have like a ring around, so you can see that it's not filling out the whole screen. It looks bad. I don't like it. But there's some really interesting and cool things that are going on here. So if you come back over here and you hit this button and you show your map behind the gauge cluster, this is my Apple Maps. I set a destination in Apple Maps, and it's showing up back here like the Google Map did when I was in the Google built-in system. So that is really cool. Why? Why did they do this to me? This is probably the biggest thing that I don't like on this vehicle. Why? Why did they do this? Now, before I get into driving impressions, I think we need to have a little bit of real talk. And This session of Real Talk is going to be about subscription fees. If you've watched anything that I've done recently, you know that I am talking about this a lot lately because in new cars, most of them in the 2024-2025 model year come with subscription fees. Now, you don't have to subscribe to them, but they are applicable to a lot of the cooler features that are available on vehicles. So, for instance, if you pay the $3,200 fee for the Super Cruise package, which is available on all trims, it's not standard on any trim, it's available on all trims of the Buick Enclave, starting from the Preferred, which is about $45,000, all the way up to the Avenir, which is $58,000. There's a subscription fee after a 3-year trial. So you get 3 years, you spent $3,200 and you get 3 years of this feature that you paid for free. But then after that, subscription fee. Now, I wasn't able to find what the subscription fee is online, and I haven't been able to find anybody to ask what it is, but if it follows the same format that the other General Motors Super Cruise subscription fees follow, you're looking at about $25 a month or $250 a year. As far as subscription fees go, I'll be honest with you, that doesn't suck. If you look at Blue Cruise on Ford vehicles, you get 3 months for free, and then you pay $800 a year. And it's not even as good of a system as this one. So, Super Cruise, you're paying for the hardware, then you pay for a subscription fee if you want to keep using it. You're also going to have 3 years free of the Wi-Fi connection, which will give you 7 devices that can connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot in the vehicle. That's a subscription fee. And I don't know if that's going to be separate from the $25 Super Cruise fee or not, but it is initially included in the free trial for 3 years. Now, the other subscription fee that you really need to know about in this vehicle is with Google Built-in. So, Google Built-in is the maps, it's the assistant, it's voice commands. So if you want to turn down your climate and you're driving and you don't want to touch anything, you can say, "Hey Google," and then ask it to turn down your climate control, or have it tell you a joke, or ask it to give you navigation to a place. So that is going to be 8 years for free. So you get an 8-year free trial, and then it's going to be a subscription fee, and that subscription fee is TBD. If you are one of those people that only owns a car for 3 years or 5 years and you're constantly on a rotation, you're not going to care. You're not going to care. But if you are somebody who keeps a vehicle until it dies, eventually you're going to have to pay a subscription fee for Google Built-in. So, Super Cruise, subscription fee. Wi-Fi, subscription fee. Google Built-in, subscription fee. Ask questions when you are buying any new car, whether it's a Buick Enclave or a Kia Rio. Okay, the Kia Rio doesn't exist anymore, but it doesn't matter what vehicle you're buying. Ask questions. Ask about free trials and subscription fees, and know what those costs are before you spend $50,000 or $20,000 on a car. Every car in 2024, 2025 is going to have some kind of a subscription fee available. Ask questions. All right, it is now time for me to do some brief driving impressions. I did a couple loops yesterday. I was driving this morning. I'm driving again this afternoon. And for a 3-row SUV, what I want to say is this actually drives small. I don't know if driving small is the right word to say, but it doesn't drive like a boat. And, I recently drove the Ford Explorer, and I felt like I was a grandma sitting like this in the seat, and the belt line was really high, and I didn't get a good driving position. And this is not that. This is actually really comfortable, and it handles really well on the twisty bits. And, it's not going to be a sports car. It's not a sports car. 3-row SUV. But it just feels comfortable, and it's one of those vehicles that you can get into and you don't have to get used to it. And I really appreciate that. I'm in and out of cars all the time, and sometimes you don't get your seat adjusted right. You've got to futz with the mirrors, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. But like this vehicle, you get into and everything just feels good. So I really like that. And we've gone over some of my likes and my dislikes, and there's certainly some issues with the charging. You know, your phone moves a little bit, and it heated up my phone a little bit, which I was really surprised by, because General Motors wireless chargers are usually really good. So I don't know what's going on with this one. But I like the open space for the open console, the floating console area. I like the design. I like, you know, a lot of the elements in terms of the textures and the way things fit together. I like this screen. There's really, I mean, there's always going to be things that you don't like in any given vehicle. And so it's just whether that bothers you enough to not buy the vehicle. Really, the one thing that bothered me the most on this vehicle was the Apple CarPlay and how it appeared. And as I mentioned, I don't know if it's because General Motors just didn't feel like trying, or they're trying to get you to not use it. I don't know. But if that's the biggest problem I have with this vehicle, yeah. So this is just a quick first drive, quick first look impression. So I think I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully I'll get this soon for a longer test, and we can dig into some more of the details. I do have a written review on pickuptrucktalk.com, so be sure to check that out. And thanks for watching. I will see you down the road.